Live. This is the council. Uh, it's now in session right now. I'm John Wilkinson. We're just doing a kind of an off the cuff show tonight, just because I just thought it would be kind of fun to do. We just got done watching Apologetics Live with Andrew Rappaport, and he had a discussion with an atheist named Jeff Posey. And Jeff Posey, I mean, I missed the first half hour of it, but maybe a more cowbell here can give us more detail about what happened. But basically, what happened was when I came in, I asked him a question about morality, about objective morality, and basically he admitted there's no such thing as objective morality. So then, obviously, the next question is, well, I mean, is rape always wrong? Or is it always okay to harm a baby, merely for pleasure? So anyway, more cowbell.
Yeah.
We want to go ahead and maybe fill in some of the gaps that maybe I may have missed. And we also have Vincent Lasson in here.
Hey, Vincent. So it kind of began with Andrew and Jeff kind of discussing consciousness. Consciousness was the topic very quickly, and where does it come from? And Jeff was kind of giving his point of view that consciousness is a byproduct of biochemical reactions, right? And the example or the evidence, some of the evidence that he kept pointing to was morality, and specifically morality of animals, which kind of threw me for a loop, because every time we started talking, or Andrew pressed him and you pressed him later on in the show about it, on how do we know these things? Where's the evidence of this? The evidence that was brought to us was, animals, chimpanzees do this. Well, we know animals will cooperate with each other. And this was kind of like his evidence for, not being created in the image of God, morality, logic, ethics, being the byproducts of biochemical reactions. And then somewhere, about 15 minutes later, the discussion kind of moved. Andrew kind of moved the discussion, because Jeff made the claim that everything, Jeff made the claim that everything was physical, which Andrew, and I might be messing this up a little bit, which Andrew questioned him on were the laws of logic. Are they physical? And can they exist without a human mind? Right? And the goalpost kind of got moved from then on, of a discussion more about the nature of the laws of logic, and Jeff's position being that the laws of logic are dependent upon human minds, and human minds then being the byproduct or construct of a human mind, right? So, which I kind of wanted Andrew to ask him, well, okay, great. If biochemical reactions produce consciousness, morality, ethics, laws of logic, can you give us what those molecules are, or what those chemicals are that produce logic, or the laws of logic, or how those laws of logic would govern the external universe, which isn't in our mind? So that was kind of where you started coming in, where you came in with your questions on, truth. Is there absolute truth? Which he said, no, there is no absolute truth. That itself is an absolute truth.
Is that absolute? Yeah.
That's right. And then
he called me on it. He's like, yeah, what are you, Side-Tin Brutenkate? And I was like, well.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You did.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. One thing that I wanted to touch up on, because he didn't seem to, Andrew kind of went another path, was that when it comes to the morality, like lying, okay, go back in time where you feel like to your youngest age where you got caught lying, okay, when you're just a little child and your father or your mother was holding your feet to the fire and saying, you're lying, okay, and that you're lying, and you feel remorse, um you feel guilt, and you feel embarrassed, and and so you go to that and you ask yourself, why do you feel that way? Where did that instinct come from? Okay, and so the only thing that I, in a Christian worldview, would say that is God telling you that you are doing something against Him. You are because the reason why the sinning, lying is a sin, is because it goes against God's very nature, that He is truth. So therefore, it tears our soul up. Okay, it really does something to us when we do something like that. When we practice lying like that. Same thing when it comes to you can say idolatry, or you can say murder or anger or whatever else you want to apply, whatever sin. We're doing something against the nature of God when we do sin. Um, so I wanted him to to touch up on that, but Andrew went another direction. Um, Anybody else got any thoughts about that?
Kind of. My
I
question.
like the question that you posed to him, that Matt Slick question of, is it always wrong for someone to, murder a baby simply for their personal pleasure? Because I was really interested in that answer, right? But
He
Andrew
didn't want
changed
to
it.
answer that. So.
Right. Well, Andrew changed the question to rape, right? Is rape always wrong?
Mhm.
And at first, he was kind of squeamish on giving a direct answer to that. He kind of danced around it a little bit, and then ultimately he came back and he did try and be consistent within his own worldview and say, "Well, no, it's not always wrong." I wish Andrew would have pressed him and said, "Okay, can you provide us an example where rape, or give us an example of where rape would be good, moral, and just?"
Right. You can't.
Right.
Yeah, Vincent, you were going to say something.
Yeah, kind of different direction here is, I guess the case you were making is, for the morality case, is because we are image bearers, we know this, I guess instinctively, what is right and wrong. My only question on that is does that apply to the unbeliever? Because like in Jeremiah 31, it is written on the hearts of those his people, but is it written on the heart of every people? That's my question. That's kind of the only pushback I would have on it. Do they really have it written, or is it suppressed by default that they really can't have a proper understanding of what is right and wrong? Though, yeah, by God's definition, no doubt they are committing wrong. I'm just saying, I'm wondering, do they really have any clue that they're doing wrong? I guess is my question.
Oh, yeah.
Because we're told that it is believers who have, I guess, the knowledge of it written on their hearts. They're not ignorant of it. We don't have to be taught because we are his people.
Right. Well, because you go back to Romans 1:18, for the wrath of God is revealed from heaven against all ungodliness and unrighteous men who suppress the truth in unrighteousness, because that which is known about God is evident within them, for God made it evident to them. For since the creation of the world, okay, his invisible attributes, his eternal power and divine nature have been clearly seen, being understood through what has been made, so they are without excuse.
They are, and I agree, but I just think they suppress it to the degree they have no clue what you're even. When you bring the case to them, they don't even have a clue because they've suppressed it so much. It's like, what are you talking about?
there is a of callousness where they don't. Oh wait, Andrew's here. Sorry, I'm here.
Man,
hey Andrew, Andrew Rappaport. Sorry, man.
We let any kind of people in here, huh?
Yeah,
Jeez.
we do, including Andrew. I was going to say there is an aspect of folks who, of people who just have a callousness towards sin, who just who don't feel anything. Right. What's that?
Is Andrew? Can you talk, Andrew? Because I would like to hear Andrew's answer on this. No, can't hear you.
What?
Can y'all hear Andrew?
I can hear him typing. Andrew.
Nope.
Can you hear us?
Man, this is your app and you can't even figure it out.
He's on.
I'm trying to test out a different mic. So
there you are.
There we go.
I use this mic. It's okay. I'm trying to use the new mic.
Yeah, well, it's not working, man.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Andrew, I just want to know. I want to hear your take on it real fast. I don't have too much time, but I guess John, on the morality issue, what is right because of the nature of God, right? So the question is, does the unbeliever have any concept of that because they're made in His image, or is it only the believers that have this knowledge written on their heart? Or do believers, based on Jeremiah 31, is it just the believers that have this knowledge written on their hearts and not the unbelievers? How would they, if you want to make this claim that they're this absolute morality, but they would have no sense of it because it's not written on their heart, so to speak? What would you say to that kind of thing?
All right, I'll use this mic, and I wanted to get
that mic's not working, man.
Yeah, I wanted to test out the new mic, and it's not liking it. I'm gonna have to play with that more. So yeah, I would say out of Jeremiah 31, we have a different thing going on. I think that what you end up in Jeremiah 31 having to deal with is the fact that is a promise of the new covenant to Israel. And when you put it,
church is Israel, so
yeah, no, it's a nice try though.
No, it definitely is. The believer, let's just say believers.
Yeah, okay, you can. I mean, I recognize the fact that you'd like to be in error, but
well, we could go on that, but
okay. So, but I would say this: when you look at that and you compare it with Ezekiel 36, 25 and following, what you end up seeing there is I think that's where you're going to end up seeing that this was a promise of a new covenant, a change where we no longer need a priesthood. You don't need men acting as priests to speak for God and to provide God's word, because
what's written on the heart of the believer or Israel.
Yeah, see, I'm going to say that what's written on their heart is what's clear from the law of God. Now, and this is what I was saying with Jeff. There's certain things of the law that's it's universal, it's absolute, because it applies to everybody.
So it's written on everyone and not just the believer. That's what I'm trying to make.
But not all morality is. I mean, that's the thing.
That's where I'm trying to draw the line. Where's what is written on everyone's heart versus what is written on those who read.
Yeah, and there's some people who would say the 10 Commandments are written are that, and I'm like, okay, well, maybe. I mean, maybe it is limited to that. I don't know that I can say it's very clear that it's this, that is. But there's a law of God that's written on the hearts of men, and there's things that they know are wrong. I would tend to believe it's going to be at least the 10 Commandments.
Well, then goes back to Romans 1. What is Romans 1 telling us that we? I guess what is Romans 1 telling us?
It's the fact that there's certain things we know are wrong. Like when we lie, we have that guilt.
Right. But what's the delimiter, I guess? Or what's the range of it, I guess, scope of it?
I don't know that we can just sit there and say, okay, this is. I don't know that I can turn to any verse of scripture and say, this is what's included and this is what's not. You know,
Right. And that's where you're going to get the pushback from on the people out there, for sure. Because they want a list. They want to say this is definitive where what's good, what's not.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I'm just pushing it because that's what we run into. Where's
but I wouldn't use the Jeremiah 29.
What are you basing it on? Give me, evidence of it.
I wouldn't use Jeremiah 29 as the example, though. Only because that passage is going to be one where I think the issue that you have is that was written to Israel, speaking about a promise that will happen as a new covenant, which we're part of in a thing called the church. So the fact that there's a new covenant means that there's a new dispensation, a new working that God has with his people, as seen in the covenant relationship that he has that's different. And the fact that it's a different covenant relationship, I'm going to say it's a different people. Just saying. So that aside, I would probably lean toward the 10 Commandments, at least minus maybe the Sabbath one. So I'll go with 9 of the commandments that seem to be written on the hearts.
You're throwing a bone to the new covenant guys.
I'm just saying it wasn't repeated. And hey, look, a broken clock is right twice a day. There's some areas where the new covenant guys actually are right.
I'm sorry to say.
Huh?
Not a digital one.
Yeah, not a digital one. Well, it still is as long as it's on. Oh.
I have to agree with our Riddick on this one. This is where you get
you see John now.
I got a loud 4-year-old. Sorry, guys.
I didn't get to finish reading John's comment there.
Let me bring it back.
You like that feature, don't you?
Ephesians 2 really
it's pretty cool.
No, I mean, it's just, I think that covenant theologians argue much like the atheists do, like we just saw with Jeff, just taking things out of their context and, giving having the fallacy of equivocation, using things like Israel and using them 2 different ways. I'm just saying.
Anyway, it was a really good show, good episode. I really enjoyed the conversation with him. But I think I mean, not that I'm bragging, but I think I kind of exposed his weak foundation. He has no objective morality, and it's based on subjectiveness of the society. And I think you can't live like that. You just it's ridiculous.
Okay, is this working now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, just for your humor, I got to do this for Vincent. You're going to enjoy this. I'm doing this. I know I'm going to be ridiculed, but you know what helped with the mic?
What's that?
What? Oh, you turning it on? Well.
Helps if you turn it on.
Oh, yeah, that'll work.
Mistake, my friend.
I
don't know how many times our preacher gets on the stage. Can y'all hear me? Can y'all hear me? And then he turns it on.
Oh yeah, no, I like to mess with the AV guys and okay. So how's this mic sound? Just for sound okay?
I can't tell much of a difference, but maybe someone else.
It wasn't too much of a difference, but maybe if you stop playing with it.
Are you hearing that?
Yeah, when you're moving it.
Okay, let me check some, because the whole reason
I think you just unzipped your pants. What was it?
I pulled it out of the out of this thing here. Can you hear? Do you hear me holding it in hand?
That's better.
I hear you.
Good.
The reason for this mic is, so this is a new this is the Samsung Q2U. And we used to recommend the ATR 2100 Basically, this is like a $50 mic. The difference between this and the ATR 2100 is this one is supposed to be better for if you're holding it in your hand, or so you don't hear that movement. So that's why I was surprised that you heard the movement when it was in here.
Well, you were moving it. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it was hitting something, but I don't hear it now. But when you had it in that moving it was.
Yeah.
There was something different in the movement of it. Agreed.
Yeah, so that's good. But yeah, just wanted to check to see because I needed to test it out. And all right, so
what was the atheist real argument? What was I didn't listen to it, so I'm just asking y'all. What was his argument basically?
John?
More cowboy. You saw the whole show, so go ahead.
In here,
more cowboy. Hello.
Oh, well.
Okay, this is fantastic.
So,
all right.
Well, I did too, but I can't remember what he was trying to get at.
Essentially what it was he came in and originally he wanted to talk about, he felt that my argument that there's an objective way to look through the different religions and be able to see which ones are man-made, which ones are not. He felt that there was a logical fallacy there. That's where we started. That was last week.
That's an objective, right?
Yeah, and then we got into, okay, and I asked him, I said, what's your best argument for atheism? And that's basically where we, I wanted to continue it is, okay, give me your best argument for atheism. So his argument was basically the moral argument. He doesn't think that morality requires God.
I don't like the moral argument, honestly. I think the transcendental argument better. But
I mean that's why I went to laws of logic. I prefer those. And right. I mean, there it's like, and you saw him back away from the laws of logic being actual laws. Now they're just
suggestions.
Yeah, well, they just happen to work, but they weren't laws until the human mind.
Yeah. Right. Like why do they? Yeah. Why are they universal? Why do they work?
Yeah. Yeah. So
that's why I think that's a better argument because it's not based on. Because you can always appeal to morals.
Yeah, it was interesting that he claimed the laws of logic were constructs of the human mind, right? And then he said, "Well, what about the law of no contradiction? Without human mind, will still apply. There will still be a law."
We can break it up, man.
More cowboy, you are out of range.
But I understand. I mean, the laws of logic and all are just straight. You can't apply any kind of, emotional argument to them, and that's what it gets. That's why I think it's a more valid argument against them because you can't argue.
Well, I think the reason he went to the moral argument, and I put this back in its holder, so tell me if it sounds bad. But
it sounds bad, holder.
Huh?
Yeah, as soon as
sound bad
in a heart.
Well, that might have been more cowbell.
Maybe. Okay, sorry.
Let me know. So I think the reason he goes to the morality argument and what I saw him doing is what I kind of pointed out at the end. It's actually kind of a bait and switch almost, where it's kind of like when we talk evolution and they always want to say, oh, here's special evolution or what we'd call macro evolution. And look, we can show that this happens. Therefore, evolution is true when they're talking about macro or general evolution. And that's what he's doing with morality. Look, we can make laws in our land. Therefore, it's something that evolved. Well, it's, those are two different things. So when he starts talking about the instinct, here's the problem he never answered. Where does the instinct come from? Even if you want to say it's in animals, where did that come from?
Yeah.
And he couldn't get to that point. But this is what you see consistent with atheists. I mean, look, Charles Darwin's book, Origin, the Species, it never actually dealt with the origin. They always start with life existing, with the universe existing, because that's the thing they can't explain. So they have the starting point. They can't go beyond that, because going beyond that requires God, and that's the problem they have.
Mm-hmm. Somebody's got feedback somewhere.
Yeah. I don't know where. Is it from me? Oh, I can mute myself and we'll find out. Well, no feedback. Maybe it was from Vincent. Is this sounding okay, the mic?
For me. The mic sounds okay, but
So
I just heard a hissing, that was all.
Okay. This is sounding fine now?
Whatever it was.
Yeah, you're sounding fine now.
See how it is if I keep it further away. Let me know if I'm not loud enough.
No, you're great.
Well, I found it. Can you hear me okay now?
It's coming from him.
A hiss. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'll mute.
No, that's okay.
If you have a thought, go ahead.
I thought it was interesting that every time you asked for evidence, he went to animals, right? And it was a category error. It's assuming that animals had the same kind of free will, rationale, ethic, morality that humans have, right? And it was kind of like you would say, well, where's your evidence for that? Well, chimpanzees or,
But show me their court system.
Right.
Show me their Congress. I should have asked that.
Yep.
Right. It's like the I forget who said it. Matt Yester told me, how do you get from, biochemical reactions to a political constitution?
Yeah. Well, and that's what I tried getting them, even just in the biology of the sexes. How do you get there? Tell Andrew the nut behind his microphone is loose. I don't see one behind it. Where? I think he meant in front.
Yeah,
I think he meant in front of the mic.
It was ironic. So
Irinic doesn't know the difference of front and back. No wonder why he doesn't accept what the Bible says about free will.
Yeah, but I was going to say, I'm amazed. I'm amazed you didn't bring forth the London Zoo, where they actually put the computer in with the chimpanzees and the monkeys and expected them to write a Shakespearean play, and they actually didn't. They used it as a toilet. They defecated all over it. You couldn't get a word out of the 7 pages that they produced.
You have the times where
liberal writing done the same way.
They had a thing where they put a camera in with chimpanzees. This is one of the experiments. And it's like, look, it took pictures. But when you watch the monkey, there's a picture taken. And it's like, you probably showed the one where it actually had something in focus. But when you looked at the monkey, he's just banging it around, and it's, he's not looking through the lens and going and snapping. He just is picking it up and holding it. Happens by the way he's gripping it to be taking pictures. Wow.
And none of them worked. Yeah. I mean, in that experiment, the dominant letter was S. So obviously one of them pushed S and a bunch of them decided S was the letter to be pushed.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that when you look at it, it's by appealing to the animals doesn't actually, it's like evolution. It doesn't actually answer the question.
Well, it's appealing to evolutionary psychology, I think, which is a very, very new field. I don't even understand.
Which field?
Evolutionary psychology.
Huh.
It's a fact that we get from animals, and they look at the animals and they see the animals doing what humans might do or what humans have seen to be done, and then they conclude that because the animals did it, the humans, etc. Anyway, I don't agree with that.
Well, I think it's what Disney does, right, with Bambi.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Bambi, we take human characteristics and put them onto animals and say, see, and it's to humanize it.
Skippy.
I mean, Bambi's actually where it started. That was the whole idea. That was the big.
So you feel for them.
Yeah. I mean, that's what made Bambi. That's what made that movie what it was because it made you sympathize with an animal,
Oh, many of them were like that. We had a series here in Australia called Skippy about a bush kangaroo. And it's come up be, what's that, Skip? What, you want to paint a wall? That sort of thing.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know that it's I don't know that he really answered the question. I think he, I don't know that he actually understood the question that was really being challenged, because he kept answering the wrong one. The question is, how do you have this ability? You want to call it instinct, fine. Where does it come from?
Yeah.
And that's the question not answered.
Backing it up. Because they can't answer their foundation ever. You just keep backing it up until they can't answer it.
Yeah. Cowboy, you're out again.
The cowbell hands tuning.
Yeah. More cowbell, your connection is not so good.
Anyway, yeah, usually if you keep backing them up there, they'll get to a point where they just have to, I just accept it. That's just that's as far as we can go. You have to accept this.
This connection is killing me.
And then, that's where you get to the fundamentals of why they believe what they believe,
Yeah, and then they want to say and point their argument for it and say you're wrong from that point on, I guess.
Well, anyway, I just want to do a quick show about this and just kind of throw everybody in here and just kind of discuss about what was said. And more cowbell. It's oh my word. Okay. Anyway, I know I don't want to dwell on this too long. Just a quick little show, just an after show about what's going on. Yeah. Anyway, but Andrew, you did a great job. I thought you did hold his feet to the fire on a lot of issues, and I think that I feel that his answers were just inadequate for the most part.
Well, I think this is my fear. Okay, we've done this before. We've had this before. My fear. This week, he's going to get a lot of abuse from the atheists saying how bad of a job he did because
I hope not.
And I know it'll happen soon because of one thing. He admitted when he was saying, I find it so funny that you religious people can, find the errors in other religions, but you don't look at your own. And I just turned and said, how about yours? And he was like, well, you got a point there. It's like he admitted that, his is a religious view and that it's one that he's, when you look at it, he's arguing. Oh, John, you're trying to zoom me in?
No, I figured it out.
Okay, yeah, you got to put on. Yeah, I was going to tell you how to do it. So, I think not only did he admit atheism as the religion, but what the other thing he ended up doing there is admitting that this is what atheists do. They sit there and critique Christianity all day long without ever examining their own. Right. And here's the difference that you saw. I could speak to him using his terminology, his worldview. I could speak about Christianity. And at neither time did I misrepresent his view nor mine. I don't think he can make that same claim. You see, and this is the thing. This is what they always do. They can't step out. So many of these people can't step out of their own worldview to properly examine their own, let alone others. His argument is that all of us must work within our presuppositions. I don't accept that. I can question my presuppositions. And I have questioned my presuppositions as I study and look at things. And I think you must. That's like the first thing I teach people when interpreting the scripture. Is you have to know what your presuppositions are, and you got to be willing to question your presuppositions. If you're not going to question your presupposition that Israel is the church, you're never going to rightly interpret God's word. Oops, sorry, Vincent slipped that one in there.
Well,
I was going to say if you
because I could defend that the Israel church is Israel.
I figured I'd just slip that right in there. If I didn't pause, if I just kept going with that, I could. but no, but it is. Look, when I come to the scriptures, and I come to passages that someone that covenant theology is gonna see Israel in the church. I need to understand it from that point of view. I have to be able to question my perspective. I think this is the hardest thing for people to do, and I think Jeff was having a hard time doing that when it comes to morality, because he wasn't answering the question actually asked about where does this come from. He starts with it existing as an instinct and then jumps from there, but he's jumping to something different. And this is what you see them do. And I think that, and then they get to, as he did with you, John, where he's going to say everything's subjective, and then he's going to tell you what you can and can't know. I'm sorry, you can't do that.
No, I call that being projective.
Yeah.
And they don't like it when I do that too.
Yeah. So, but I think it was good. I think it was good to see, for folks to see. I mean, we need to have more dialogue like that, where it's not the heads butting type of discussion, but it's informative. It helps people to think through it. I mean, it was interesting. I'm sure that what's going to happen, but I think to me, he seems like the kind of guy that's not going to be struggling like we saw with Jeff Durbin's nephew, Phil, or cousin, sorry, his cousin, who came on. We had a great conversation. He admitted to some fallacies he was making, admitted to problems that he couldn't answer, and things that made sense within scripture. I sent him a Bible, and there were atheists, and he was telling me that week, it's like all these atheists that were criticizing him, and within a few weeks I had to block him because he was just I think it's like, they get on him like you can't give in, you can't compromise, you can't even agree a little with a Christian. You can't be, and I'm afraid that'll probably happen to Jeff, that all these atheists are going to come after him now to get him to be hardcore. And I don't think it'll work with him, but, I kind of feel bad because that's probably what will end up happening. And, but I think that's because they have to censor. I mean, that's the whole thing with his last challenge. He's like, thinking I really can't answer that. Sure, I can. There's a lot of scientists that don't believe in evolution. In fact, they're not all Christian. I should have pulled up the article. There was a guy recently that just completely, debunked evolution. Even uses mathematics, uses a couple of different ways to debunk it, and he's not a Christian. But he just doesn't. He knows evolution doesn't work, but he doesn't know what did work. Okay. That's a science of the gaps, which is where I was going to go with him. Actually, at one point, I was going to, and then something happened. We changed it, but I was, yeah.
Well, at that point, he needs to go and read 7 Days of Divided the World, because that's kind of exactly addressing that.
Yeah, but John, thanks for coming in and doing the after show. Letting me test out my mic here and see how this works.
I'm glad I can help.
Andrew didn't come to bring peace, but a sword. No, I thought I was peaceful. I didn't think I do have a couple of swords.
I thought you bought the pen.
I think it was very cordial. I think it was great. Yeah. Hopefully Jeff will keep coming back and maybe having more discussions. Ooh, look at that, Mr.
That's my letter opener. It's actually, an African, an African thing that for opening letters, but it's my mini sword for this show.
I got 2 real swords in here, but I don't have a video camera anymore, so I can't show you.
Yeah, I could go grab it, but I mean, this is the sword I prefer.
It's my sword.
But apparently, that letter opener in England is pretty illegal right now. So
yeah, it's going to be illegal there too.
Oh, that's got a point.
Yeah.
Yep. Can't have a point on it. It's a loaded weapon or concealed weapon.
Shot
So
from the stick. Arrest him.
Yeah, that's about it, isn't it? That's if he doesn't throw a rock at you.
So I guess it's interesting. This is the first time of me coming into here as a guest. So that's good for me to see that you don't have.
We see, huh?
Huh?
Now you see what we see.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying it's good. You don't have the ability to see the public chat unless you go to the YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All you
that's
have is
right.
a private chat. So
Yeah.
I wish there was an option where you can see that.
You know,
But,
the thing that's interesting with it is, and I mean, they may still work on this platform and improve it, but it is kind of just as when I come in like this, I mean, you're seeing this is easier to manage, but as John, you're seeing that there's a whole lot it's not, it would be nice if you can have like the outside chat and the inside chat at the same time. Because it's like you could see that, oh, there's someone that sits on the outside chat. Oops, so yeah, you could see the little red, notification, but you're constantly clicking. It's just a little distracting.
I wonder if there's some kind of script or something that you can do that somebody has already done that can do that. Because I've seen streams of when people, they actually have like literally like you can see on the screen people's chats, and
yeah, where you see all the conversation. Yeah, there are things setups that do that.
I
Yeah,
guarantee those aren't free ones, so that's the problem.
Yeah. There's someone that wanted to set something up like that for Apologetics Live, but I think it was going to cost like $100 a month for us to do, and it was like like you use the app, it's easy to come in, but everyone can see all the chat live, but it's just, yeah, I wasn't going to spend $100 a month. We're already spending enough on this and not making money yet. So
yeah, well, that's the way it goes.
Right? Carm makes the money.
Well, I'm not making money either at the moment, to say.
Atheists make the money on YouTube.
Yeah, they do, but then they yell the loudest.
Yeah, but they'll also get back. I mean, they'll stab each other in the back, like the non sequitur show with
it's like
Steve. What's his name?
Yeah, McRae. Steve McRae.
Yeah, Steve McRae. Yeah, and his friend.
Why? What did he
Kyle.
do that got atheists upset with him?
No, he and the other person on the show, co-host, kind of had a falling out.
Oh, he and his co-host
had a falling out.
Yeah, because the co-host wanted to do more control over everything, and including finances.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, I mean, because they did a
from my daughter. It got real ugly.
Send me that. That'd be fun to see.
Yeah, it's out there.
That'd be interesting because I mean, what they did to me was just logical. I mean, they did a whole thing on me. I watched the first, I think maybe 5 minutes. And it was just funny because Steve just ran from a debate for me. He got upset because I called him out on his running from me. So he wanted to say that I'm running from him. But what does he do? He says he wants me to come on his show. And I'm like, well, I'm going to be in the air. Like I'm on a flight. I kind of can't do that from an airplane. And so then, whatever time their show, I guess, normally was, they actually did it early. They had to apologize to their own folks because they did it early. They never gave me any links to join. And then they did it early saying that they wanted to make sure that I was there. Where I was like, wait, you didn't invite me. So it was completely, done so that there's no way I could be watching and, so they throw everyone off. So, but it was funny. I think even Tyler Villa contacted him and said, hey, you got like a dozen errors in the first 5 minutes, and Tyler tried to set up a debate with he and I. Who else was it? Who's the atheist that? Let me look because I just messaged him recently. I think it was Skylar Fiction tried setting it up. I mean, there were like 3 different people that tried to set a debate up with Steve and I, and he's refused 3 different people. 2 atheists, 1 Christian. So. And then he runs around telling everyone that I'm running from debating him. He doesn't want. He wanted to debate me on something Anthony said. Then he wants to debate me on something Matt said. When we finally agreed to debate me on something I said, he then wants to change the term. Like we agreed that we would debate that evolution is a theory, and I said, "Great, I'll take that." are you going to argue that it's a law or a hypothesis? And so then he said, Andrew and I are going to debate that evolution is just a theory. I said, what do you mean just the theory? I never said that, So it was like all of a sudden he's playing games. So it was like, all right.
Muslims do the same thing. David Wood hates it.
Yeah.
And then when they set up the debate and he shows up, they change the rules, and the rules get broken. That was how he destroyed Muhammad Hijab, at least in my book.
So, all right. Well, I'm gonna get going. I got a bunch of work to do tonight, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Well, I'll give you a call.
I need lunch.
Well, unless you want to stick around.
No, give me a call.
Okay.
All right. Later, guys.
Alrighty. All right. Thanks, Andrew. So I guess that'll be it. Just a good discussion about what happened afterwards, and maybe we can go on from there. So with that, I just want to say thank you for everyone who showed up. Thank you, Andrew, Vincent, more cowbell, and Andrew Rappaport. I think that was great. Yeah, maybe occasionally we'll do an after show live, maybe if I am up to it. Or either that I might have a new job here shortly here, and my hours may change, so I don't know exactly how that's going to pan out. So anyways, with that, thank you very much, and good night. God bless, and council is no longer in session.
Later.
Later.